Hey guys, Dave here. Now, the reason I'm making this video is I wanted to talk a bit about something that's kind of been bugging me in regards to Supergirl. Now, I know some people have problems with the whole Alex and Maggie Sawyer relationship starting to take over the storyline. That's not what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about is the fact that, okay, Supergirl is awesome. Supergirl does have a wide array of abilities, but also has her own vulnerabilities, and I think she can show that she's powerful, but she's not perfect. With that in mind, there has been a glaring problem since episode 1 of Supergirl that seems to be becoming a trending topic. The point is they keep nerfing the alien species other than Kryptonians in the show. Well, seriously, I mean, the very first episode had a villain named Vartox, who, back in the Silver Age, this guy was pretty awesome, actually. I mean, he was his own world's equivalent of Superman, but his moral compass and the way that things went on his planet worked a little differently. He was on par with Superman with his own, what they called, hyperpowers. But instead, they nerfed him in this, turning him effectively into their version of the Persuader, a villain from the Fearsome Five, or Fatal Five, rather, from the Legion of Superheroes, who had an atomic axe that could cut through anything. Now, I was willing to let this slide, but I've been seeing more and more of a trend here. Now that we know about Martians, the Martian Manhunter, the execs from the show have flat out said that they are not going to show Jean using the full extent of his powers, because he can do everything as Superman and more so. If he was to show the full extent of his abilities, then he would outshine Supergirl. Okay, then why have him on in the first place? Also, the Daxamites. Okay, it looks like when we're getting back to the show, the Daxamites, or at least Mon-El's parents, are going to become the big enemies for the rest of the season. Now, I'm okay with this, but there's one glaring issue that I have here. Kryptonians and Daxamites have the same conditions: high gravity on their planet and under a red sun. Technically, Daxamites should have the exact same powers as a Kryptonian under the yellow sun. So far, we've shown that Mon-El have increased strength, durability, leaping, more like some Golden Age level stuff, but no enhanced senses, no X-ray vision, no flight. Now, this is just becoming one part of a trend that I'm seeing, that these people could be true challenges for Supergirl or hell anybody, but instead they're still being made to be more vulnerable than they should be. Why is this? Hell, there was even an episode where Maxima showed up. Now, Maxima, Queen of Almerac, very powerful character, similar abilities to Superman, but has some very interesting differences there. And she came to Earth to try to actually find a suitable mate. She thought Superman might be a good thing for her. Maxima should have been someone that could be a challenge all season for Supergirl, but she came in and she was taken out in 5 minutes, and we haven't seen her again. What? I mean, what's going on here? I mean, I know that they're trying to make compelling stories, but in my personal opinion, they could make more compelling stories and longer-lasting villains if they let the aliens have full access to the powers that they're supposed to have been born with in the comics. I understand that there is also cases where the DEO and the human agents have to deal with them too, but guess what? Daxamites are supposed to have, instead of kryptonite as their weakness, lead. Ordinary lead affects them the same way kryptonite affects Kryptonians. And what's worse, in the comics, lead poisoning is permanent. It's not a cure for it. for another 1,000 years. These are all interesting things that could be excellent if they did it, but they just keep on tweaking stuff. Hell, in the comics, Mon-El's real name was Largand. Instead, they have Mon-El's father being played by Kevin Sorbo to be named Largand. Now, don't get me wrong, Supergirl is enjoyable. I like Tyler Hoechlin's version of Superman, and I'm glad to see him be coming back. And it's an okay show, but I just don't see a reason to review the darn thing every week, because I feel like it's not for me. It's not interesting enough for me to want to talk about on a regular basis. You know, I keep in touch with it, but it's not something that I really want to keep an eye on all the time. But this is a pattern that I've been seeing. That certain bad guys or characters are only as powerful as the writers say they are, while others are getting nerfed. On The Flash and Legends of Tomorrow, Firestorm is one of the most powerful beings currently in the TV universe of DC Comics. But all it takes is one good hit, and he's like Super Mario. Chunk, 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 back to normal. I understand the thinking behind it. I understand the vulnerability that's needed for it. And I understand that there's drama for compelling stories, but I feel like they could be telling more compelling stories if they let the aliens have the full array of their abilities that they're supposed to have and stop just shining an extra spotlight on Supergirl. At first, I can understand why they were trying to do this, to make the star shine on her, to show that she's capable of being something more than just in her cousin's shadow. I get this. But do they have to keep holding back every other alien race to do it? I mean, they're restricting them from being all that they could be. They could be more compelling. They could have greater depth of their stories. But they're not being allowed to. Now, we've even seen the Black Mercy, one of the most dangerous plants ever introduced to in a Superman story, introduced to Supergirl. But Black Mercy was also hand in hand with another alien named Mongol. Now, this guy is as powerful, if not more so, than Superman. He could make one hell of a villain if they brought him in. I mean, this is someone that Wonder Woman punched and bruised her hands on his face, and he just sit there smiling. There are potentials out there, and certain characters do have their own weaknesses. They can be tricked. I just don't feel like they need to be watered down anymore to tell the story that they're needing to tell. Let the aliens be what they're supposed to be, and if you're a capable writer, write around that. That's just my humble opinion. I could be wrong, but I'm looking forward to seeing Supergirl, The Flash, and Arrow coming back as of next week. But what do you guys think? Do you think that Supergirl is seriously nerfing the other alien races that aren't Kryptonians the same way I think they are? Let me know. Peace.